Howdy folks, Todd here with Great Escape Farms. Today I'm going to go over some of the plants in the plant contour row with you. But first I'm going to explain what a plant contour line is, and then I'll go over the 36 plants that are in there, 34 of which are edible, and 2 of which I just have in there because I'm pretty and I can't help myself. So a plant contour line, to me, and I don't know if somebody else came up with this or if it's just a concept, is common out there and not that big a deal, but what I did is I grabbed a laser level and every 5 foot I marked off a spot on a level line and then I planted into it. So dug a hole, put the plant in so it was even with the ground, and then I built up the soil around it by adding mulch. So the very first thing I did was put down cardboard, and then I put mulch, and every year or about every 2 years I add a little bit more mulch and it builds it up. And what that does is that slows the rainwater down because we are West Virginia level, and which is like this. It's a very high angle, and it stops the water, lets it seep in, or it slows the water, lets it seep in. If it's in excess, it just flows right through. And the reason it does not wash away my mulch is because we're up near the top of the hill, so it's not that much. If I was down near the bottom of the hill with a whole sheet full of rain coming during a downpour, it would completely wash it away. But because we're up near the top, this works just fine. Has for, let's see, 7 years now, no wash away or anything else. Absolutely wonderful. The plants in here, you can see them over my shoulder here. They are happy as can be, and I'm going to turn this camera around and we're going to go over each individual plant here. So the first plant I'm going to cover is this big tree here, and this was actually put in a little bit before the plant contour line. It's a little bit down below, but I include it as part of the mulch regiment here, and that is a pleury, and that one is a cherry and a plum cross, and absolutely delicious. 1 year we were absolutely inundated with fruit, and since then we've just had a little here and a little there. And then this first plant right here is a blueberry. I think that's Tiff Blue. Next one up is a plant that I started, which was Sweet Scarlet Goumi. That came from a cutting from my large plant. And this one right here is called a tayberry. It is the only one, it's a cane fruit, and it's the only one I have on site here. And I really need to put a pole in and boost this one up because it's just kind of flopping. And then we have another blueberry over there. I do have a document which says exactly what most of these plants are, what every single plant is. I know what most of them are, so I don't have them here with me. This particular plant right here is a Viking aronia berry. So aronia berry is also known as chokeberry, and it is, right now, it is edible. The fruit is a dark black or dark purple / black color, but we are in early August, and because they just became ripe, they're very astringent, meaning they're very high in antioxidants. I do munch on them. Most people prefer them to be a little sweeter, and they do get sweeter and they get more of a berry flavor as the summer goes on. So late August, early September, all the way up through October, they'll still be on the branch here, and with every passing week they get sweeter and sweeter tasting. This particular tree, or this particular cane fruit right here, this bush, is a blackberry, and this particular one is a Chester blackberry. It is a good one. I don't know if it gets quite enough sun. They're kind of slow to ripen, but it does well. In between, you'll notice I put some annuals in, and I have some tomatoes here. I had another one down there. You notice the cage, it died out on me. Something got at it, a vole or something. But these are doing fine. So whenever I have an open space somewhere, I don't have an annual garden. I just go ahead and throw annuals in between things wherever I can. So I have an Asian persimmon here, and I have another one down there, and they are needed to cross-pollinate. I have not had fruit on these yet in 6 years, so I don't know if they're too horribly happy with the location. Have to figure that out at a later date, but for right now, we'll just go with it. And this one is a blueberry, and I do randomly get blueberries here and there. I get more from my blueberry patch. Here's another blackberry, and this one is, I believe it's Triple Crown, and it's got some very tasty berries. You can see there are a lot more all ripe here at the same time. Got a couple more ripening, but it's done very well, and it's actually spreading now that I notice it. We're spread out about 6 or 8 feet here, so may need to contain that a little bit. And this one is a white Nanking cherry, came from Edible Landscaping, so they call it Edible Landscaping White. And it is a good one. It cross-pollinates with my red. Here's another annual plant. This particular one right here is the Asian persimmon that we had just talked about a moment ago. This is an anise hyssop. It is a pollinator magnet, so usually a bunch of bees and butterflies around it. The leaves have a very, very sweet anise, black licorice flavor to it. A very good plant. Love that one. A little late coming up in the year, but it is just delicious. Another tomato plant in here, and there would be a Nova elderberry. And this is one of my non-edibles. So this is a butterfly bush, and I just love this because there's so much wildlife around it. I have honeybees, and I forget what that one right there is called. It looks like a bee, but it's actually a butterfly that just looks like a bumblebee wandering around, and big butterflies up there. There's honeybees, so just tons and tons of life here. So I keep that for them as well as me. I do like watching all the bees and butterflies and stuff in here, and hummingbirds. This thing is a hummingbird magnet as well. And some people say they spread like crazy. I have not had a problem with spreading. This is the only one in the yard, been here for 6 years now, hasn't spread anywhere. So let me see if I can get a close-up picture of this guy. Really think those bad boys are neat. Okay, this one is a red Nanking cherry, and down here is a Nanking bee, and you'll see the bee is much larger. But in between, we have a rather sizable pawpaw tree. And this pawpaw tree is absolutely loving it here. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I have 4 pawpaw trees here, and this is by far the largest. Put them all in at the same time, and this one is just happy as can be here. And we'll see the other ones in a moment. This is another Nova elderberry, and one I hadn't planned on talking about. This is an annual down here, but this is called jewelweed, and jewelweed is a reliever for poison ivy. So you can, the leaves feel waxy, and if you get poison ivy, you can crush the leaves and put it on the poison ivy, and it gives you temporary relief. And if you get into poison ivy and you rub these on, they say that it will help get the oil off, and so you don't have as bad a reaction if you catch it quick enough. But I haven't had experience with that part. I have with the relief, and I very much enjoy the relief. I do not do well with poison ivy. This is a large sweet scarlet goumi here, and I take a lot of cuttings off of this one to propagate. And here's another aronia berry, a little larger, and you can see there are just tons and tons of fruit in here. And this is my smallest of the pawpaw trees. Again, it's planted the same time as the big one. And a lot of times the comfrey plant dwarfed the tree, and I was constantly having to cut it and move it. And sometimes I missed it, and it went several weeks without any sunshine at all. So it's had some issues, and that's why it's so small. It's actually grown up a good bit in the past couple of years compared to what it was, but it's still a lot smaller than the other ones. Back behind, I don't really consider it part of the contour line here. I have a blueberry patch back there. This is a Korean bush cherry, so similar to Nanking bush cherry, but it is self-fertile. And this one is another sweet scarlet goumi. So sweet scarlet goumi, or goumi, is in the Aleagnus family, same as autumn olive. The fruit is much larger. The fruit ripens in May and sometimes into June, and the seeds are not viable like autumn olives. So the birds do like the fruit, but they're not going around and planting them all over the place. So I am allowed to grow this here. I am not allowed to grow autumn olive in the state of West Virginia, and several others, Maryland and others, do not allow you to propagate autumn olive. But goumi berry you can just fine. This guy right here was just planted. I had a wineberry in here, which was a little more invasive than what I wanted, so I took the wineberry out and I put this guy in, which is a buffalo berry. So I have a couple of those floating around and very much enjoy them. And here we have another aronia berry, and all of the aronia berries in this row are the variety of Viking. I also have Nero and McKinsey on the property, but this row is all Viking, all of the ones that you've seen. Here is another pawpaw, and let's see, 3 out of the 4 didn't fruit. They flowered this year. I didn't see any fruit because we had a late frost, and I think they went and died off on me. This is a sweet scarlet goumi. And again, there's multiple different types of goumi. All of them in this row are sweet scarlet. I do have carmine and what's the other one? I think it's Red Gem, and I'm still trying to get, I think it's Timbrook. So let's see, here we have a goji berry, and I call this one Dina because it came from me from Pasadena, Maryland, and not sure of the exact variety, so I went ahead and just renamed it myself. And this is my first go around with ever-bearing raspberry. So this is heritage raspberry. We are in August, and a lot of cane fruit just fruits in June, and this one does. It fruits in June, but then it fruits from the beginning of August all the way up until frost. So really, really like it. This one has small berries compared to some of the other ones I have. My largest early fruiter is Joan J. My largest late fruiter is Caroline, but hold a place in heritage in my heart because it was my first ever bearing. This is the fourth and final pawpaw tree. Oh, and in between I have a small high bush cranberry there, and I have another small high bush cranberry there. So these are two different types. That one is, it has a name. It's evergreen something or other. Oh, I was talking earlier, I think I was talking on this video, maybe it was another one, but that is a pawpaw sucker, and the pawpaws are colonal tree and they send up a lot of suckers. So I do need to keep that trimmed back. Here is another non-edible. This is a type of holly. I forget whether it's Japanese, Chinese, or something like that, but it flowers in May, June time frame, and I just love the smell of these things. Again, another huge pollinator attractant. This is another high bush cranberry, and this one will be coming out at some point because this one is actually the European style. And I'm probably gonna do a video on that coming up here, but right at the base of the leaves, there's glands here. And whenever you have more than 4 glands, it is a European variety. And the European variety, the fruit is very, very bitter instead of sour. And what I'm looking for is the American variety, which is sour, that tastes like cranberry, not the bitter type. So that is a real quick overview of our plant contour row right here and some of the plants in it and what it is. So thank you very much for tuning in and have a wonderful day.